is a feature of Power BI tool which can be utilized to establishing connection to various data sources. What it means by this, for example, assume that you have multiple data sources and you want to combine these data sources together, and you need to start pre-processing the data, clean up sub-columns or rename the columns, or merge the columns together, or merge two different data sets together, or make some specific filtering or sorting or mashing up the data, merging and appending different data sources. And after you finalize all the cleanup, you can just now publish and analyze the last data source to the Power BI. So in summary, the Power BI query can be used as your personal SQL, which can be used integrated within Power BI, which can allow you to manipulate and clean up your data. So how it looks like, let me first give you a quick overview before jumping to the practical example. So now this is how it will looks like once you activate the Power Query within the Power BI. So in general, you have this kind of ribbon, the ribbon having home, transform, add column, view, and tools. Actually, the main, it's all the function you need is within the home page, and also the transform and add columns. But the main, whatever you need, it would be within the home page. Then, as you can see here in the bottom left here, this side actually showing you what kind of data sets has been uploaded. For example, in this particular case, we have data set, we have KPIs, we have NR coverage benchmark. So this 3 different sheets has been uploaded. So once you click in this particular sheet, for example, any of those data sets, it will display all the information as you can see here in this screen. For example, here is showing your date, hour. This is all the information, so you can start working and cleaning this data. So once you start cleaning and taking some steps, for example, remove some columns or rename or whatever, each single step where you applied here, it will be recorded in the right side here, and this is like it will be automated whenever you upload a new data or merge or upload a new data set or update your data information or data inputs. All these steps will automated, and it will be automated, and it will take effect directly because it's being recorded. So this is actually showing here. And if you click at any of those particular steps, it will show you the formula which is being done. But actually, you don't need to create any formula. You can just do the clicks through the steps through all this kind of information there. Like you can manually remove the columns, and it will automatically take the formula by itself. So now this is, as you can see, this is information for example, you can see it in home page. You can have here the close and apply. This is once you finalize all the data cleaning, you can close and apply the data into the source. And all the other information is going to be discussed in details actually in the practical example. So let's jump now to the practical example and see what we can learn. And I believe this will cover 80% and even more for what you need to learn about Power Query. So for the Power Query, first I just give an introduction about what is a Power Query. Now let me activate the Power Query and try to upload example to go the data sets and also to go through all the practical examples, which can cover all, you can say 80% and even more from the needs of what you need to know about query. So the first part here, I'm going to upload my data sets. Here below, I just give the location of these data sets. So I will go to get data. Then I will make more. I just need to see all the data sources which we have it. So now, as you can see here, it's giving all the data sources. Here I will select folder. I want to get my data from a specific folder. And once I make connect, here I need to give the folder path, which I give it here. So I will give the folder path. So once I give the folder path, it will give this kind of image. This is just showing the folders when it was accessed last time, what is the extension of these folders, and what is the name of these folders. Now, as you can see in the right bottom right side here, there is some options. There is combine, there is transform data, there is load. Okay, so if you loaded the data, it will like loading almost 3 files. So what we need to do, you just need to make transform data will take you into the Power Query. So what you need to do, you need to make combine and transform data. Since all these data, I know that it's having the same information, so I need to combine it. Then I need to go and transform it to start making some data cleaning. So I will just click combine and transform data. Now it will take me through the, as you can see, first before taking to me the Power Query, it's just combined, the data has been combined. Now it's showing me like how my data looks like. You can see this is one sample from the first file. Here, if you click sample file, you can take the sample file from any of your files within this folder. So for example, I have 3 files. So I will take the first file, which is DT1. So now this is how my data looks like. For example, I can see I have some spaces here. My columns are not being setted or rows. I have some null data. So I have any information which I need to clean it up before uploading the data to the Power BI in order to have a very clean data and start working. So once I click OK, this will take me to the Power Query. Let's see. Now we are within the Power Query, as you can see here now. And I have explained initially this is how the Power Query looks like. So now we need to take it step by step to understand what we have here. First, in the home page, as you can see here, we have the close and apply. This is once you are done with the data, you want to apply it for example, Power Query, you need to make close and apply. This is once we finish all the data cleaning and you want to upload the data to your Power Query. This is in case if you want to upload a new data source. For example, you can do same as whatever you have done before, new data sources, so you can upload it. And here is if you want to give into some manual data. And here if you want to change the location of your data source settings. For example, if you click here, this is like I have two data source here, which is device information and D1. So this one, for example, you can change the source in case if you, for example, change the folder of this particular data set. So, and here this is if you want to give some parameters, we'll speak about this part as well. And this is if you would like to refresh your current data. So, and here is other more functions, like for example, if you want to remove columns, to make some, add some rows or move rows, and also to split columns, use first header as a row as a header, merge queries and embed queries. So I will take you all through this with actual example. And here, if you want to transform some of the existing information, for example, you want to transform this column, date column into date only, not date and hour, you can go through the transform column. So this is actually this information, transforming information, can change the type or whatever. Also, I'll go through it. And this column, if you want to add some particular columns. And the last one, view here, giving some just view about the stats. This is I will show it at the end of this one. So now let's move by part. So I can see of my data here. First of all, the data, this is how my data looks like. You can see this is source name. This is the source name of my existing data, which is being used. So if I uploaded any other folders within this data, it will keep coming here as this one. So this column actually it's additional, just to let you know like how many sources we have. So the first part, I don't need it. I don't need this particular column. So you can right click and make remove. So it will remove all. You can go to the home page, as you can see on top left here. And here is also, there is a remove column, this one. So if you click remove column, it will remove this particular column. If you remove all columns, it will remove all the others except the one you are selecting. So I will remove this particular column. This is the first part I need to do. Now the second part, as a cleaning part of point of view, I need to remove these 3 rows, right? And also I want to upgrade this one, or to take this one to use it as my header, right? And also to just to let you know, if you go down here, we have the other information. We have also the other folders which containing exactly the same formatting. So this means you have many blank in between. So before going to the blank part, I just want to take you through the removing this one. So the first part, I need to go home page here. You can see you have here remove rows. So here is giving you options: remove top rows, remove bottom rows, top rows, duplicate rows, and also remove blanks row. So I know that there is blank rows. I will remove it, but first let's remove this part. I will make remove top rows. So if I remove my top rows, how many rows you want to remove? You want to remove 3, right? This is 1, 2, 3. So I will give here 3 number. So it will remove the first 3 rows, as you can see here. Now I can do what? I can, again, under the home page, I go here, see use first row as header. So I want to use the first row as headers just to convert this column 1, column 2 into this one, ID2, date, and so on. So I make use first column as header. So now, as you can see, my header has been upgraded. And the more important part, I need to make sure that I don't have any empty or blank data within my rows. So also I can go to the home page, and again I will go to this remove rows, and I will remove this blank rows here. So once I here that step has been applied. So as you can see in the right here, every step you do, it will be applied. And for example, if I click here, it will take me back for example, before giving this promoted as a header, if you go back here, you'll find still there is here this information, move top rows. So every step it will be recorded here and it will be automated. So let's go back to this one. So now I have uploaded my data set. Now I just need to do some more cleaning here. For example, what I need to do, I need to add a column, extra columns, just to convert this downlink speed, for example, 2 megabit per second instead of kilobit per second. So first of all, to add a column, you can just go to here. You can see here, I have add column. and you have different function to do this adding columns. You can go column, for example, this is like flash fill in the Excel function. I will give example about this part. And there is a customer column. This is through a formula, and this is invoke customer function. Usually you don't use this one much. Like, so I will use this part for now. And you have another part as a conditional column, and this is usually use F formula. I will also show it to you. So first of all, I need to add a customer column. So I will just click here, custom column. So now it's opening this part, as you can see here. So I want to rename this one, for example, downlink speed. Okay, megabit per second as example. So now I just want to divide this one by 1000. So I need to look into this particular column, as you can see on the right side here. So I will just divide it by 1000 as you do in the Excel, and I will click OK. Once I click OK, you can see this column has been added in the right side here, as you can see this part. And there is one more part. This also column, for example, assume I don't need this particular column, which is called extra information. So I need to right click here and just make remove, or again, go to the home page, and from the home page, you'll find this remove columns. But the fastest way is just to remove column here. Okay. Now, let me take you through other steps. For example, this date, it's having date and hour. So you can even convert it directly, this particular column, or you can add on top of it. So for example, if you go here, and let's first duplicate this one. I don't want to back this, so I can just right click here and make duplicate column here, and it will give here a copy from this particular column. Okay, so now let's continue with this part. For example, this is my date now. So in this particular date, for example, now I want to add I want to transform this particular folder. So I want to transform it, for example, go to above here home page, then the second one is called transform. I want to just to transform it into date only. You can see it. You can have a date or whatever. So if I give date only, it will give me the date only. It extracted the date, and also the column has been like replaced by this new format. If you go back here, you'll find this was the previous format, date and hour. Now it become date only, and you can even rename it by double click here and just call it, for example, date or day only, whatever you want. Okay, so now there is another way. Actually, instead of transforming this part, you can do like this. You can go to this date table and go to add column again here, and in that column you can just click add on date only. So this will add extra column with exactly the same format which we have, but it's called date.1 because we have already the same name here. And same if you're again here and you want to add the hour only, so you can go here and just add the hour, and it will come at the end with hour. As you can see, all the hours has been added to the right side here as well. And this is one part. One more important part which you needed, for example, you need to clean some of the existing data. So for example, I can see here in between there is a lot of null data here. This null can be even a text here given, this is a particular text, or if it's like blank, it will give as a null. So now what I need to do, I need to replace this all null, okay, by, for example, blank or by zero value. For example, here, I want to replace all the null by zero value. So I will, here, I just click this to select these two columns, and I will right click here, and you can have this replace values here, as you can see, and you can just give null by zero, or probably this is like it's yeah, you can see now it's being replaced null by zero. Okay, assume now you don't need this kind of information in your data, which is called null, for example. This is, you don't need it, so you want to filter out before sending to your existing. So you need to click here, and once you click, you will just filter and give whatever filter you need. For example, I don't want this null data. I want to remove it out from my data before uploading to Power BI. So I will just select it from here. So once I have done this, now you can see now it will be filtered out once we did this part. Now I want to do the same, for example, for this particular device name, for example, or downlink speed. I have some null values, which is the zero values. Also, this can be done by through removing the same. Just from here, I don't want this kind of information here. And this is how you can make a filter as well. And going back here, if you want to cover the remaining function, for example, there is, if you right click, actually it will give you many things here. You can see you can remove, or you can remove other columns, or you can even duplicate this one, and you can remove the duplicates. So for example, I want to keep, I usually keep this as a last step. For example, if I uploaded some data with the same information, so I want to ensure that this data is not being duplicated. So usually I just write Control A, and I just right click, and you can see that here remove duplex as shown here. So this also will be recorded. So this will ensure that I don't have any duplicated data here. So to remove it all. This is also one of the things. Well, other function we have here, for example, if you want to change the data type, you know that, for example, this data is a number and it's giving a text as an example. Let's assume that this one I change it now to text. It's coming. Let's assume it was coming as text from the beginning. So it will be give now this one text, this no number. So actually it will not be working within the Power BI. So you need to ensure to change this kind of information. So you need to again from the beginning, if it's not correct, you need to change it to, for example, a whole number or the same number based on what you need. So I remove this step because this changed line. But the most important part about this part that you have a function also actually to check all the data type for you. And instead of checking one by one, you can ask the Power Query to check all the data type for you. For example, I can go to this transform thing. As you can see here in transform, it has replace value also, which can be done from the right click. But there is something called detect data type. If you did this detect data type, it will go through Power Query. It will go through each one of those, and it will ensure that these are following the correct formatting. So this is very important step. You need to do it as well because it's not logic to make one by one whenever you do it. So you can just see automatically detect that data type of the currently selected column. So I can just select all and make like this data type. You can see now it's change type 2. So if we click here, for example, it will give you a formula. For example, here it's showing that, okay, this data type, date, it's date time. The type is date time, for example. This downlink throughput, this is the type of it, like, and so on, as you can see here. So this is also one of the most important function that you need to know about it. If you go back to the home page here, clicking here, for example, now we have covered almost this actually query part. For example, if you uploaded a new data, you can just refresh even this particular sheet by refresh preview or refresh all the sheets which you have it here. For example, I have two sheets here. So once you did refresh, it will refresh the data to update the information which you uploaded. And here, this particular within the query part, this is advanced editor. For example, if you finish all your script, let's assume that now you want to give these steps you are allocating to a new template or giving this template to someone. You can just take all the steps which is being done. You can save it outside as like in case if you want to reallocate to any other project. Now, this is in case assume that you have 1000 to 2000 column and you want to go to a particular column, or you want to choose this particular columns instead of selecting one by one and removing one by one or selecting. So for example, let's assume you want to go a particular column and you have thousands of columns, 1000 column rather. So you can just go to here, choose column, then you click go to column. So for example, give you all the columns. You have the search button as well. For example, I will give hour, so it will show the hour. So if I click here, it will move me directly to this particular one. So this is like very important also whenever you have huge data. And also this is choose column. For example, if I click choose column and I decided to remove, for example, this particular date one and hour from my data, which is the last three, I will just like this and I do OK. Now we'll find that these three columns has been removed because I filtered out from this one. And if you want to revert it back, you can just remove the step from the bottom down here. So this is actually one of the things. Also, we have it here. You have here, this is remove information. We already discussed about it. And this is also keep or remove columns, rows. Also, we discussed about it. And also, we can just keep again, remove duplicates, which already, I think we did it before. So we don't need this step actually. This is in case if you want to split some of the columns. For example, let's assume that you want to split this date by this particular column. You want to split it by delimiter or whatever position. So for example, let's try this one. If I give like this, split column by delimiter. So here, what you can do it custom. For example, a space. I have a space between these two, so it will actually, I think, it will be split it into three, like the first one, then the time, then AM, PM. So if you click OK here, for example, what will happen? It will give you three columns, I believe. It's split it actually, I think, yeah, it's split it here already, as you can see. Date 1, date 2, date 3. The date, the time, then AM, PM here, which is because there was a space between all of them. So this, actually, I don't need this particular step. Now this one, if you want to make a group, like for example, pivoting your data with, for example, the date and throughput only. So this is, you can go this by through, and usually I don't use that much actually. And here it's just telling you what is the data type of this particular, for example, it's telling you this, I think it's telling you this. You can just data type from here, or even you can do it. If you can see here, it's telling you this is whole number. Also, this icon here is showing 1 to 3. This means whole number as well. If you move here, for example, this will be text. This latency also showing as a whole number. This is just if you want to change it, you can change the type from here, or you can right click and go through change type here. And this is if you want to make some replace values. Actually, the merge and the queries and the bending query, this is all discussing as well. I will upload another data set which is having similar information, and I will show you to what we can do about it. And this is actually the main part about the homepage. The remaining actually it's not that important for now. So now let's go through the transformer just to see whether we have covered all the points here or not. So this is the table about the information of the table. If you want to transpose your table, for example, in case of your table, like you want to transpose the columns instead of rows, you can do this is as, for example, whenever you having in the for example, in the Excel file, you can do the same. Also, this is can give you the count of the rows. But for example, if you click this one, I think this is yeah, so maybe you can do like this one. Actually, this is not that important, to be honest. This is, for example, if you want to rename, it doesn't really need it. You can just double click and get it. And this is, we already explained to check the data type. And this is, for example, if you want to move this particular column to the right, you can just click here to move to the right. I will just return it back here. Also, I think this can be done by root shifting manually like this. Even you don't need to really do this kind of thing, but it's okay. So now I need to remove this split column as well. So yeah, so this is move. For example, this you want to form a split, you have to speak about it. This is formatting. For example, assume now I want to this all cities, all the information need to be in a capital letter. For example, you can make not extract. For example, the format first. For example, here I want it uppercase. So you'll see now city 1, city 2, it's all converted to uppercase. And this is, for example, if you want to extract a specific information with a rule, again, can text after delimiter, so on and so on. And this is the main thing. And here transform, we have speak about it already. And for the add columns, actually, you have already covered most of this part, except this duplicate column. I was trying to get this one before. Here you can see already, like if you want to duplicate this column, you can even do it right click. Usually I rely more on the right click. And here index column, for example, assume that you want to add index for these all data. So if you click here, it will give you additional column with 0, 1, 2, 3 till the end. So this is also, sometimes it will be useful for you. Okay, now this is a conditional. For example, assume now for this conditional thing, you want to add the ranges for your speed. So now let's click this one. So if you click this one, for example, it will give you additional column. You can rename this column downlink speed, and you can give the formula. For example, if this column is greater than a particular value, for example, I select the downlink speed mega, and for example, I say greater than a specific value or equal, for example, 300, then I need the output, for example, to be a text or a parameter or whatever. You can just give it, for example, like this. You can give the output whatever you need here. Else you will do this. Also, you can add another clauses here, else if. But let me tell you like one trick, which is actually, I believe, one of the very important things. Actually, the language of the formulas here, actually, first of all, we have done almost for this one, except for the view part. Let's quickly go through the view, then I will show this trick. For example, here you want to check your data integrity before moving or cleaning the data. You can just, for example, click on this column quality. So it will give you all information. Here, for example, I already clean my data. For example, here it's telling you that you have one data which has no information. So for example, this one, you can just filter it out, as you can see here, 1%. So once you filter this out, it will not be any more here. So this is ensuring that your data is being cleaned. So this is actually one of the things. Also, this can tell you what is the column distribution, like how many unique values you have, how many distinct value. Also, column profile to give you bottom down here about how many, for example, here the distribution. This is telling you that the 38. This is just a quick check actually. So yeah, this is if you want to go to a specific column. Actually, we discussed this part before. Now let me give you the last part about actually about the addition column. I have before explained to you that. Let me first remove these kind of things. Okay, I have explained before that, for example, you can give a formula based on the custom rule. Okay, but actually the main point here, I already gave a formula here before, if you remember. This custom column. It's called the language here for the formulas and this kind of things. It's called M language. M language. Okay, M language. So this is actually, it's like you don't need really to get experience with it. You don't need it a lot. But in case if you need to add some extra columns and you don't know the formula, you can rely on ChatGPT. And I will show you now live example for this part, which will make it easy for you, just in case if you want. What usually I do, for example, assume now I want to get from this particular column, I want to get the downlink speed ranges. Okay, downlink speed range. This will be my column name. So now this downlink speed ranges, assume that I want ranges for this particular speed if greater than 300, for example, I want to give a text as greater than 300, I will spend it to ranges. So in this case, what I will do, I will go to that ChatGPT So I have now the ChatGPT, as you can see here, and actually I have prepared my question, which I'm going to ask ChatGPT about the formula which I needed. I mentioned here I require formula using Power Query M language to extract the ranges from this particular column. This is assuming I don't have any reference about this F formula or any other one. So I will just drop the question here, and let's see what he will do. You can see he easily gave you the formula which I needed. I say that this is as a text. This is what we need here from F till this particular data ending here. So you can just take this part now, and let's see what we'll get. Now let's go back to our Power Query and try to implement this one over there. So now, for example, here I want to make this custom column. So I will just click here, and now I'll just give, for example, the name of the column, which is downlink speed range. And I will just give the formula which he gave it to me here, and just make sure the name of this particular column is matching with this one, because this is the column which he's asking for. Now let's try to make OK and see what will happen. See, now he didn't recognize this part because this downlink speed name is not matching with the name which I have it. This is also very important. So this is, you need to ensure that you are using the same name for the column you want to query. For example, this is here I'm using downlink speed, so you will just need to replace this particular value. For example, this downlink speed. Actually, the main point that this is not the format, so you need to clean this part one by one. So for example, here, first of all, you need to go down here, for example, and give the downlink speed. So we can even ask him for the format you need and also mention for him the column name. Here, for example, and here as well, and here as well, right? So you just need to replace it all by the column which is on the right side. You can see now, I think we have replaced all. We didn't forget any of them, because if you forget something, this will into some errors here. So let's see. You can see now this customer column is coming, as you can see here, and you can even remove it, rename it from customer to downlink speed range, for example. So now let's just see. For example, this is from greater than 50, so it's 50 to 100. This is greater than 300, so it's greater than 300, and less than 50, so it will be, this was my ranges. So this is actually one of the things yet you have really to rely on it. So now we have covered most of the things except the very important function which is related to the merge queries and the append queries. So now this is one of the datasets I have. So I need to do two things. First of all, I need to append this data to another dataset which I have it. So first of all, I need to upload the other dataset. I didn't include it here, and I want to append it. So now let's add the new data source in order to make this append thing. So now let's go to, as you can see in the top left here, there is a new source. Then you will go to more. To do the same step which I have done through the Power BI to upload the dataset one. So I'm waiting for this one. So now I will just go through also uploading through a folder. So what I need to do, I need just to click connect. So I will just give the folder path. Okay. I prefer to give the folder path because if you go to inside here, it will take you very steps very slowly. So it's like very tedious. So better to give all of the folder path. So now I will just click OK. It will give me it will again go take me through the same steps. This is a folders within the same folder, DT2, 3 folders. So I'll just make combine and transform from here. So again, it will take me for the same previous step, asking me which file you would like to take. So I will take this part. But the most important part I would like to tell you about it, that whenever you are appending data, you should ensure that you have the same column name for the information which are similar or the same for between the two tables. So for example, this ID5, I have another column here in the DT1. I will show it to you that also having ID but with different names. So we need to align the naming first before appending the data. So let's click OK to see what will happen. So now the D2 will come here, okay, with this particular information, as you can see all this column. So the first one is source name, then it's ending by the device name, okay. So now the first important thing I would like to show to you, for example, here, this source name, I have returned it back here, this one, in order to see like, is it after we append it, whether it's matching or not. So first of all, you need to ensure that the column names where you want to append the same information having the same name. So this ID, for example, in DT2, it's having ID, right? So we need to change it to ID, right? Double click and make it ID. Date also need to be changed to date. And also, if you move to the last column here, this will have a device name. So this device name should be also same as the other one, which is the other one with a small letter. I think let's take the same name. I'm not sure. Let's see what we'll have here. So we have here, for example, device name. Both are a small letter. So I will go back to here and change this one to device name. See this one. So in case if the column name are not matching, so it will append it as a new column and it will give a null value or a blank value for whatever is not available in the other sheet. So now what we're expecting, we're expecting that these all columns, which is unique, having the same information, not the same names, it will be abandoned altogether. But for this particular last two columns, which is not available in DT2, this one actually, which is downlink speed, downlink range, it will be just be appended, but as a null value for D2. So now let's click, for example, D2. Then you can just go home page above here. Then you have append queries. Then you will have append queries as new. So let's see. Actually, the difference is that if I make append queries, so this means this sheet will be appended from D1. But if I make as a new queries as new, this will come in here as a new appended sheet. So let's do it like this to have a separate sheet. See what's the differences. So now he's asking you like which tables you want to concatenate. For example, I have example for two tables. This one is available. You can just make from D2 to D1, but this is in case you have more tables. You can just go through this one and just move to the right whatever tables you would like to append. So here I want to move D2. So sorry, D1. Here, this should be removed now. Cancel and move D1 here. So I want to append these two tables. Now it will create a new one called append one. You can just change it, for example, to the dataset or DT, for example, emotes. Okay. So now, if you look at this sheets, how first of all, this one C source name, it's having three sheets. If you remember, D1, D2, D3, D1, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And same here also. This is having D2, D2, 1, 2, 3. So if you want to append now, you'll find that this all information now is coming here. It will be D1, 2, 3, D2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Moving, and all this information will be appended as well. So moving to the last one here, columns, you will find here that this one is coming as downlink speed null and downlink speed range 1. Since I just click append new queries when I was clicking D2, so he considered D2 as in the top. So that's why it's starting, for example, with device name as Apple devices, as you can see here, for example. So actually, this last two columns is not available in D2, so that's why it's coming as null. And this is what will happen for any columns which is not appended. Actually, this is actually the main idea, which I would like to take you through it. So now the main idea now, the last thing I would like to cover, that there is another thing here called merge queries. Okay, so now assume now I have another column which I want to merge it with the existing DT, this one, for example. So assume now I have this device name. If you click into this sheet which I uploaded earlier, device info. So this device name, it's giving two additional information columns, which is called brand and device. I would like to add these two columns. It's like a VLOOKUP to this DT. So the unique between both is what is the device name, right? So I can make like merge based on the device name columns, which is available in both of them, to give this information to add it to the DT. So I click in this one, then I gave again to the home page, and at the top right here, merge queries, and you can just make this time as merge. And merge is like you can see now. Here, first of all, since I'm clicking DT table, it's giving you my DT table. So here, it's giving you this information. Which table you want to merge? I want to merge it to the device info, right? So which columns you would like? This can be done even with one or two or three more columns. It's like a VLOOKUP. But since we have only one column, which is having like a similarity here, see now the selection matches this to this. This is just giving you stats about it. So now what I would like, I want to get the information from device name to append it to the above table. So I'm expecting to have two new columns here, which is called brand and device. Based on the device name information, it will be comparing these two parts. And by the way, if I told you, like if you have, for example, city name, you can just take more than extra. So now it's 0 because there is no matching. So you need to remove this part now, and it will give you the stats. Now it's matching. So these two new columns will be appended over here. And here, like it's asking you want from the left outer or the right outer or whatever. So for example, if I give here, it will give you some information if it is available. If I give here, if something matching, it will give. If nothing, it will not give. And like for example, full outer. So I want to append to this one only. From the left, I want to give these two columns. So now let's see. Now once I click OK, now see I have a new something called device info table. If you click into this part on the top right here, you can see it will show all the information. Okay, so if now I selected and give this one, this will give the complete table, which is called device name. But since this device info, but this thing, since this column device name is common, so this you need to just unselect it. You don't need it really. So this one will extract information from this table to get it within this new table, which is called DT. So now let's see what we have. See, now once we have done this, now it's giving you the new information for the device info brand. And if you make like this, you'll find another more information. And some of the information was not available, like as a matching, so it will give us a null value. So this is actually how you can embed. And actually, this was the last part for the uh, Power Query, and I believe we almost cover on, we can say 80% and even more from what we have here. So at the end, like Power Query is really very important, and it's really very easy. You can learn it very quickly, and the main point that it's all menu steps, but at the end it will be recorded and as automated steps. And the last step you need to do is to just import this data into your Power BI now. But before importing, the last like trick here, that if you import, like you make, I'll go to a top left here and make close and apply, this will be data will be uploaded to the Power BI. But now, since you have a new table here, you don't need really this three information, right? Which is device info D1, D2. So in this case, you need just to right click here and see, say enable load. Don't enable load, just keep it here within the Power Query, but don't load it to the Power BI because you don't need more tables there. So you just right click here and you just make continue. This means whenever I upload the data, this information will not appear there. It will just stay in the background with the Power Query. So I don't need this table. So once I upload now, I'm expecting only to get DT table. But if I didn't do that, I keep this as it is, it will upload these four tables. So now let's make close and apply and see what will happen. This I'm expecting only DT table to come within the Power BI. So now this device info will disappear, and now I will get the DT table instead. As you can see, now it's creating, now it's uploading. So now, as you can see, now we have our new DT table, which is coming all the information, which has been information. And that's it for today's video. I hope if you like the contents to press like and share it with your friends and to spread the word. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.